Greg Ehrenberg here with the doctor, Dr. Adam Scherer, who has been taking the mantle from Ben Rossa as the resident doctor ever since we started doing these injury report videos. They're sponsored by Yahoo. We go through the most important injuries of the slate. And for Friday night, there's a 9-game slate, and there's a handful of them that are going to be pretty impactful. One that just broke right before we started to record was Deandre Ayton was downgraded to questionable. We saw him miss some games early in the year. Now, Adam, if there is no Ayton tonight, who's going to stand out to you from the Suns?
You would expect JaVale McGee to step up and look like a really good option. We saw him get starts with Ayton out previously in the season. A lot of those starts were kind of derailed by Frank Kaminsky, but Kaminsky is also out. So you would just have, I think, more secure minutes for JaVale McGee. Not to say that you would expect him to play, full starters minutes or anything like that, but I assume Jalen Smith would probably be in the rotation. But at 3,400, you don't need anywhere near full starters minutes for JaVale McGee to look like one of the best values.
Yeah, and I think that is totally reasonable. And key point you mentioned there with Frank Kaminsky, who there was a lot of debate. Do we want to start McGee? Do we want to play Kaminsky? Doesn't matter. Kaminsky's out now. The next injury is one that we've been dealing with quite a bit as of late, and that is D'Angelo Russell, officially listed as questionable to play by the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, reports indicate he's probably a little more likely to sit than he is to play. So we've seen some pricing kind of catch up because D'Lo's missed a couple of games. But is there anything left that you would still want to be getting to, even with some of the elevated price points?
I think Anthony Edwards still looks interesting at 8,400. Of course, you can still get the Towns at 10,3 with or without Russell. The one spot that I'm kind of most interested in, I guess, because I think there's some volatility here and some uncertainty, is Patrick Beverley at 4,500. He's played well this season when he's been on the floor. He was starting alongside Russell prior to his injury. He played about 23 minutes in his last game, but he did lose some time to garbage time. He had played about 13 and a half minutes in the first half. If Beverley's going to approach 30 minutes, which I think he could with Russell out, he starts to look like a pretty good value on DraftKings at 4,500.
Yeah, I could get behind that. And I could also get behind today's sponsor, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, who we still have our great deal with. And guys, I don't know how long this is going to last. You're going to want to jump on it. But if you're signing up for Yahoo DFS for the first time, sign up in the link in the description box below. You head on over to Yahoo, make a deposit, enter a contest. You get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. They'll get all the tools that we have for Yahoo, DraftKings, FanDuel, and so much more. They'll help you win some money in DFS and sports betting. Really good tools to take advantage of. All right, so some other injury news that we have here. Precious Achiuwa, questionable to play. That comes in addition to Kem Birch remaining out and also OG Anunoby out. So with that in mind, we saw Chris Boucher enter the starting lineup last game. His minutes are typically a little hard to parse, but when he starts, we don't really have to be as concerned about it. Do you think this will be another spot to go back to Chris Boucher if Achiuwa's out?
Yeah, I think if Achiuwa is out and Boucher gets the start, that's obviously the important second piece there. There are a lot of different ways Toronto could go with the starting lineup if Achiuwa is out, but we did see him get the start last game. He didn't get closing minutes, which was a little disappointing, especially because he had played really well, and I believe it was the third quarter, so it seemed like he would get back into the game, but he didn't. Only played 22 minutes. But even if he does get 22 to 24 minutes, he looks like a reasonable value. His salary has come up a little bit, the 4K, so it makes it a little bit riskier. And then also something to keep in mind is, we talked earlier about DeAndre Ayton. Just from a relative standpoint, this is a 9-game slate. You're going to have some good value elsewhere. We have a lot of good value already, but like, for example, if DeAndre Ayton were to be ruled out, it makes Boucher look less appealing, even if Achiuwa is out, because McGee is cheaper and produces at a high rate as well.
All right, now the final piece of injury news to get to today, one where instead of just listing the players, I just wrote Hornets on my notes here because that's a lot easier than listing all of the guys who are out today. Terry Rozier out, Ish Smith out, Jalen McDaniels out, Mason Plumlee out, LaMelo Ball out, and PJ Washington now doubtful. He's not dealing with COVID as all these other players on the Hornets are, but he is still sick, not expected to play today. With all of these guys out, what can we expect from this Hornets team?
A lot of minutes for the same guys that we've been getting them for in Martin, Oubre, Bridges, Hayward. They all played or are likely to play 40 minutes or so here. We saw them exceed it last game, actually, so they could play more. But one thing we've seen from James Borrego is that even with the team being shorthanded, he's played a shorter rotation than he could. Even going into the last game, there were some reports that he had said he wanted to add an extra person to the rotation, and he still didn't do it. So here, they did call up a couple of guys from the G League. They have the bodies to play a deeper rotation if they want to. But based on what we've seen from Borrego, I think it's likely that you see mid-20s, at least in minutes from Nick Richards. I think you could see mid-20s in minutes from Bouknight off the bench as an alternative to adding an extra body to the rotation. So someone like Bouknight is risky because they could add Scotty Lewis to the rotation and take minutes away. But I think that guys like Bouknight and Richards have the potential to do well at very cheap salaries. And then you still have just sort of underpriced Martin, Oubre, Bridges, Hayward, considering they're likely to play 40 plus minutes.
Yeah, it's a team that is going to be pretty hard to avoid. And I've got almost their entire starting lineup projected for around 40 minutes today. Not that many healthy bodies left for the Hornets. Guys, that is going to do it for today's quick edition of the Injury Report. Do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and good luck today. Keep up on all the latest injury news. We'll have more of it covered on the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock later.